But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last week.
What you get when Charlie Kirk slaps The View with a $100 million lawsuit, and Sunny Hostin melts down on live TV like a soap opera star who just found out her contract's been canceled. You get a courtroom circus, a daytime disaster, and a comedy roast all wrapped into one. This wasn't just drama, it was premium chaos with extra seasoning. As Sunny goes off the rails, Whoopi sits frozen with that not again stare, and Charlie tries to sell America the idea that he's the one being wronged, by words no less. It's a messy mix of tears, tantrums, and televised tension that would make even Judge Judy throw her gavel and switch to reality TV. And spoiler alert, the first person to crack? Not a lawyer, not a host, someone you wouldn't expect.
Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo.
And let's talk about that $100 million. Yes, $100 million. A number so gigantic it sounds less like a lawsuit and more like Charlie's pitch for a Bond villain starter kit. Picture this, a private island, a theme park with conservative mascots, maybe even a jetpack or two. That price tag doesn't just scream damages, it screams, watch me make headlines. He didn't file a case. He launched a marketing campaign with legal papers attached. Now for the main target, The View, that caffeinated chaos factory pretending to be a talk show. On paper, it's a panel. In practice, it's verbal dodgeball with nobody keeping score. Every episode feels like a political fire drill where nuance is left outside in the rain. It's not debate, it's decibel warfare. So when you throw Charlie's lawsuit grenade into that studio, you're not just starting legal proceedings, you're triggering a full-blown daytime detonation. The View has been running on fumes and feelings for years, serving up daily doses of dramatics, like it's the news. Turn a B-list celebrity breakup into a national crisis? Check. Twist a minor policy debate into an on-air shouting match? Double check. It's like watching a soap opera dressed in political drag, where every sigh, gasp, and side-eye is treated like a TED Talk. Now picture a round table of professional interrupters who mistake eye rolls for masterclass arguments. These ladies don't debate, they perform. And the louder the outrage, the more convinced they are that they've said something profound. Every mildly different opinion is met with synchronized gasps, like someone just yelled fire in a movie theater. Theatrics over logic. Always. For years, this clucking council paraded outrage as enlightenment, peddling hot takes like holy scripture. But finally, someone pulled the emergency brake on this runaway circus.
Disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
And Charlie Kirk, he didn't just throw shade from the sidelines. He marched straight into the lion's den, gave it a nod, and dropped a $100 million legal bomb like it was just another Tuesday. But this move? It ain't really about the cash. It's about calling out the nonsense, drawing a line in the sand, and saying enough to the endless echo chamber of smug takes and loud ignorance. Charlie didn't sue a show, he sued a machine. A megaphone of overblown hysteria that thinks volume equals truth and eye-rolling equals intellect. This isn't a lawsuit, it's a cultural clapback. This wasn't just some legal stunt. This was Charlie Kirk walking up to the loudest corner of daytime television and yelling, "Quiet down." The lawsuit isn't just about money. It's a declaration of war against the way ignorance gets turned into entertainment and sold as truth. For too long, that studio's been pumping out noise like it's allergic to silence, screeching through every second like volume alone wins arguments. That $100 million? It's not a flex, it's a fire alarm. A message to the media world that letting this chaotic soapbox parade around as public discourse has consequences. Kirk isn't just going after Whoopi or Sonny, he's swinging at the whole circus. The entire system that rewards outrage over honesty, theatrics over thought. What he's really doing is putting the entire outrage economy on blast. The fake debates, the faux wisdom, the endless parade of viral tantrums that pass for analysis. It's not just bold, it might even be hopeless. But it's the kind of shot across the bow that makes people stop.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. But I said this to our team. I said working people, the muscular class, including working women, they are so in favor of Trump, and they don't want to be called stupid or uneducated.
And let's just keep it real. The View stopped being a talk show a long time ago. It's a live-action meme factory powered by hot takes and bad fashion choices. The set might have a table, but it ain't round. It's a carousel of condescending commentary where facts get stretched, bent, and sprinkled with smugness. Opinions aren't offered. They're preached, raw and loud, like that somehow makes them wise. When parody and reality blur this hard, someone had to step in and hit pause. Charlie just did it, with a lawsuit. Front and center in this chaotic drama is Sunny Hostin. Once a courtroom professional, now the queen of daytime mic drops and overcooked commentary. These days, her law degree feels less like a credential and more like a flashy prop, something to flash between takes like an influencer flexing a masterclass certificate. She throws around legal terms like she's selling some off-brand justice blend on a live stream. Confident? Sure. Substantive? Not always. But now the plot's taken a wild twist. Sunny's found herself tangled in a real legal mess, one that can't be solved with sass, coffee, or cue cards. And before anyone reaches for the tired script about silencing women, let's make this clear. This isn't a gag order. It's a reality check. Accountability doesn't care about airtime or applause. Daytime TV might hide behind just opinions, but when those hot takes turn into reputation flamethrowers, someone's going to call the fire department. What's knocking on their dressing room door isn't censorship. It's justice with a clipboard and a court date. Because when you spend years turning people into punchlines and roasting reputations like it's sport, eventually someone's going to ask for the bill. That's what Charlie Kirk just did. And this time, it's not a clapback segment, it's a legal reckoning. No sound effects, no commercial breaks, just one big, overdue demand.
Turning Point Conference, the were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs. And,
I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against the because against the flags that were waved.
But you let them in.
President, open your mouth.
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are
For over 10 years, The View has acted like its own VIP pass to say whatever, whenever. No facts required. It's been a free-for-all of loud voices drowning out real conversations, bulldozing dissent, and packaging smug takes as some kind of bold empowerment anthem. What they call fearless commentary is usually just pre-scripted outrage, tailor-made for TikTok clips and studio claps. But somewhere between those applause breaks and ad segments, they forgot something major. Broadcasting to millions isn't just a vibe, it's a responsibility. And sometimes it comes with legal strings attached. This isn't some underdog fairy tale flipped on its head. No David versus Goliath spin here. It's a story about a media machine that got too cozy chucking accusations from their comfy swivel chairs, thinking the consequences would never catch up. Now, Charlie Kirk is the guy throwing open the studio blinds. He's not waging war. He's just asking the question that's been bubbling in millions of minds. When does the show stop and the accountability begin? This isn't cancel culture, it's consequence culture. And it's long overdue. Kirk didn't fire the first shot in some grand culture battle. He just said what a whole lot of fed-up viewers have been thinking for years. If you're going to throw grenades on live TV, don't act shocked when someone calls for cleanup.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the...
In a media world obsessed with going viral, maybe it's time someone reminded them, truth isn't a trend and responsibility, that's not optional. So next time that intro music hits, don't just grab popcorn. Maybe grab a notebook. The age of untouchable talk show theatrics might finally be on its last legs. And honestly, it's about time. Let's not get it twisted. This isn't Charlie Kirk throwing a tantrum. This is a calculated, gloves-off power move. He's flipping the script on a show that's built its empire by turning dissent into a dirty word. For once, the self-declared queens of chaos are being dragged off script, forced to defend their dramatics without a cheering crowd, without a teleprompter, and without the cozy safety net of studio bias. This isn't cancel culture. It's a long overdue check. And here's the kicker. The irony is rich. The View, a show that loves to flaunt its free speech badge like it's armor, now has to answer a brutal question. How free is your speech when it turns into public slander? Suddenly, that banner of bravery looks a lot more like a liability. Sonny Hostin might want to dust off that law degree, because this isn't a PR crisis. It's a legal reckoning, with receipts. Cue the meltdown at ABC HQ. Lawyers are sifting through old segments like they're decoding ancient prophecy, digging through the archives for anything that could turn into courtroom ammo. Behind the scenes, producers are sweating, trying to spin future episodes without turning every hot take into a lawsuit risk. And the hosts? They're still perched on those velvet thrones, probably wondering why the courtroom doesn't come with a live audience to clap every time they deliver a snarky one-liner.
Let me kind of humble the audience a little bit. Donald Trump won by less than a point in Wisconsin, about 28,000 votes. He won by a point-ish, 1.2 in Michigan. And then he won by 1 point in Pennsylvania. And so, Megan, it is conceivable that without this record movement of youth vote, he doesn't win.
Oh, it's been theatrical, all right. For years, The View has turned latte preferences and scarf choices into moral crises, spinning daily nonsense into grand soapbox declarations. But now, that fake moral superiority act might have just triggered its own downfall. Because when the drama gets dragged into a real court, nobody's clapping, they're taking notes. The View's outrage engine? It never clocks out. Fueled by pre-planned indignation, synchronized gasps, and enough smug applause to power a luxury retreat, this crew has turned drama into a daily ritual. But now, the cameras aren't the only things blinking. So are the hosts, frozen like deer caught in the harsh beams of a courtroom spotlight. Suddenly, all that fire and fury morphs into awkward silence and selective amnesia. It's as if they all just forgot the years they spent launching verbal missiles at anyone who dared disagree. These ladies didn't just host a talk show, they ran a daytime demolition crew, ripping into reputations between promo spots for eye cream and protein bars. They served it unfiltered, messy, and with a side of fake moral high ground. But now, Charlie Kirk has stepped onto their glittery stage, not with a mic drop, but with legal documents. No rants, no zingers, just cold, strategic courtroom energy. He didn't show up to argue. He came strapped with subpoenas.
I think if
and
a
plan.
liberal came to speak at University of Kentucky, they'd give an open mic like I just did to a conservative and had a discussion like this.
I certainly hope they would.
No, they wouldn't. Because speech is not a left-wing value. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa to go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want me dead, that want to disrupt our events. There are no right-wing hecklers that come to events like this.
And this legal clash? It's not just Kirk picking a fight. It's a full-blown takedown of an empire disguised as journalism. A flashy talk show titan that spent years confusing volume with value and claps with credibility. This lawsuit isn't just ruffling feathers, it's yanking the entire NBC peacock by the neck and asking, where exactly is the line between opinion and defamation? This isn't personal, it's structural. It's a challenge to the entire setup that rewards echo chambers and bullhorns over logic and actual dialogue. Because at The View, disagreement isn't discussed, it's stomped out. Loudly, dramatically, and without mercy. But now, the stomping has stopped, and the questioning has begun. This isn't just another petty media feud. It's a full-blown challenge to an entire format that hides behind hot topics, laugh tracks, and studio applause, while ambushing anyone who dares think differently. What we're witnessing isn't a simple lawsuit. It's a reckoning. Because eventually, even the loudest echo chambers run into someone who doesn't flinch. Someone who doesn't show up to debate, but to dismantle.
I don't want to say too much, but we're going to have a lot of fun at the Department of Education. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Can I tell you something? Like, I've had quite a few people contact me about that particular post. Like, I'm sure I have 1/100th of what you're getting, but people are contacting me about cabinet posts. I'm like, I got
look,
nothing.
I mean, yeah, I'm actually, after this conversation, heading to Mar-a-Lago for a week, and we have a lot to sift through, and if I could be helpful, I have asked. I want to be actively involved in all things education, as you can imagine.
And that $100 million? That's not just some headline-grabbing flex. It's a blaring siren screaming through every newsroom that built its brand on mockery. You want to turn public figures into human punching bags on national television? Cool. But just know, one of them might punch back with a lawsuit instead of a clapback. This time, the piñata brought a lawyer. Sure, The View might enjoy a quick spike in ratings. Controversy gets clicks. But now they're learning the other side of the equation. So, does accountability? Charlie's lawsuit turned all that cheap drama into something heavier. He forced these hosts to realize their one-liners might actually cost more than applause. They might cost them in court. And then there's Sunny Hostin, the self-declared legal expert now playing the lead role in a real-life legal showdown. Only this time,